So you've got a design in Canva that you need to send to print, but the trouble is you don't know exactly how to save it. Well, let me show you. It's actually really easy. Jumping right into Canva, I have a template here for a business card, and there's two small things that we need to check before we export this. We're just going to go to File, down to Settings, and we're going to turn on Show Margins as well as Show Bleed. So you'll see right here on your artwork some dotted lines in the shape of a rectangle, and that is your margins. And margins are pretty straightforward. The main thing that you need to know is anything that is important, anything you do not want to risk getting cut off in your print needs to be within that frame. So text, logos, anything that you don't want to lose, make sure it is inside of that margin line. So the next thing we need to notice is this dark black line. This is the trim line or the edge of your design. So anything that goes beyond that should be cut off. But in the print industry, there is a small amount of margin needed in case the cut is missed slightly, because a lot of things are getting printed at the same time, a lot on a sheet, and sometimes the cut is missed by just millimeters. You do not want a little small white line on your design. So in order to correct that, we just need to make sure that any background elements, so elements that are arguably less important, continue not only to the edge of the business card, but all the way to this bleed line right here. So again, this blob, this beige background, anything that's in your background, extend it all the way past this line, all the way to here. And that's it. That's how you set up bleed. Pretty straightforward. Now we're ready to export. So to export in Canva, you're going to go up here and click Share. Down here, you'll see the download button. And here's where a lot of people make mistakes. You do not want to save this as a PNG. PNG is a raster image, which I'll go over in another video, but essentially when printing, you're risking having it pixelated, so little tiny boxes and your artwork not looking good. The great thing about Canva is a lot of the time your design is actually vector. So we want to export it as a vector format, which means that at any size, it's going to print really clearly. I'll go over what vector is in another video. You don't need to worry about that at the moment. So instead of PNG, we're going to click the file type and we're going to go down to PDF for print. Now, generally you are going to want crop marks and bleed. Generally speaking, you do not need to flatten your PDF unless you have a ton of effects like drop shadows and things like that. It might be a little safer, but most of the time you can ignore that. You don't need to include notes, and you likely can ignore match reading order to layers. You want to select which pages, either all pages or select one of them. In our case, we can go all. So CMYK is actually best for printing. So if you do have premium Canva, select that. And if you don't, you can likely use RGB and your printer will convert it for you. So in my case, I'm just going to select RGB because I do not have Canva Premium. And you can even save these download settings for the future. And from there, we'll click download and we'll be all set. If you want to take it one step further, let me show you what's going on in the PDF just so you're aware. Once you've set up your PDF, which I have open here, you'll see that your margins will not be visible. So that dotted line was just a guide. It's not actually going to be showing up in your artwork. From there, the same. You do not see the trim edge, but that is marked with these little trim lines here. And your bleed goes past those trim lines, which is very important. So now the printer knows to come down and cut exactly to this trim line, and it'll make sure that your artwork looks perfect when printed. Now, this has actually allowed me to catch an error by looking at this PDF. Right here, this bleed is actually set up incorrectly in this default Canva template. This blob, if the orange is going off of our cut edge, should continue all the way to the edge of the bleed. So if we zoom right in here, this little part that's beige should be orange to avoid any issues. And it is correct on the back side with this lighter orange. You see how it continues all the way to the very edge of the bleed, and down here it does the very same. This continues all the way. So hopping back into Canva, we can either move this blob over so that again there's no beige here, so we make sure the orange is continuing all the way off and all the way to the edge of that bleed. Or alternatively, we could select an element, grab a circle, change the color of that to match the orange, and just kind of put it over there to fill it, and then re-export it. That will solve the problem. And that's it. It's that easy. If you're sending your artwork like this, it should print with no problems. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.